friends, welcome to my channel. I am working with Didi's Deluxe Bead Box for the month of March. Still recovering from the horrible sickness that hit my household, so preface this by there may be some editing for the coughing. But if you didn't see my first video, I just did kind of a quick reveal, and I made two really beautiful pairs of earrings that are really different from each other for styling options with the other things I want to make. So this pair is kind of floral and a little bit floofy and sweet, and they go on my interchangeable lever back ear wires. And then I did a pair that's kind of minimalist, chic, linear, and you know, they have a little dangle, but they're really small and you know, kind of a minimalist pair. And I just love both pairs, and they were really fun and easy to make. So I'll link that video if you didn't see it. And you know, I'm just back at work after 2 weeks or so in the hospital with my son. So I just sat quietly and played with the bits and bobs that were in the box and came up with a little pattern here, a double strand bracelet that's going to go into this loopy component that I'm going to make. And I have this little, just from my stash, this gold plated floral magnetic clasp, and I'm going to use one of the little violets that was in the box, and I have taken every single one of those little check glass bell flowers and just pulled in some seed beads to make some dangles. I'm not even sure where I'm going to put them, but I just love how beautiful they are. And so let me talk to you about what I've pulled in from my stash that was not in the box, because it's something that I always do. I like to personalize my bead boxes, and I like to use the things that I have. So amazingly enough, my Adornable Elements Beads of the Month Club, my seed bead club that I get, I'm doing a rotating club with them. Last month, the Mountain Heather beads were in these beautiful purples and magentas and very much the violet and pansy look. And then this month's, called Mother Earth, had turquoise and this beautiful rich deep like cobalt blue. And these beads are what you see in this little component here. They were just absolute perfection with the colors of the sea sediment jasper and these little daisy beads and just everything. And you know, I always go into my stash and get seed beads pretty much for every project to make loops for closures and spacers and all that kind of thing to extend the length of things. But it is amazing that my Beads of the Month Seed Bead Club just worked perfectly with this box. But I love getting this. It's extremely organized. I have done so many projects with last month's box, and I still have about half full containers, so it's a great value. So I will put links in the description box to my Adornable Elements Beads of the Month Club. This month's Mother Earth was rocaille seed beads, and this little turquoise bead is going to finish off my little loopy situation here. So I did most of the repetitive simple loops. I did it off camera because it's the same thing over and over, a bead and a simple loop on either end. And I just made these components with those little Heishi beads that were in the box and the antique gold crystal spacers, and just alternated them for a double strand section on this bracelet. I do have one more component to make. I just love this little to me it looks like a violet, but I know this was Enchanted pansies. But ever since I was a little girl, I loved all the cross stitch patterns and all the vintage patterns with violets and pansies. So this box with these flowers and the daisies, and there were a couple of other flowers on the bead strand that are just absolutely beautiful. But I worked in the ones that, you know, I like. So I'm just going to use my 2 1/4 millimeter one-step looper and make another component. If you're doing this project along with me, you know, if you don't like this tool, I know some people don't like it or haven't had success with it. I love it, and it saves my hand. And I am just coming off of a really serious sickness, so I'm finding I don't have a lot of strength yet. So you know, this tool just really helps me. And when I'm making components like this, all of my loops are really consistent. So this flower is the same as a heart. If you, like on the bow of a heart, if you put a loop in your wire and then string that bow, or in this case, in between the two petals, it's much easier to come to this end and get your second simple loop in, because the bead is not so much in the way. So this time I'll go through the guide hole, gently close the tool. It makes a nice fresh cut for me. I'll let it finish making the loop, and I'm going to just pull my bead down as I close. And I feel like I was putting a little stress on my flower, so I stopped and didn't close it all the way. I don't usually fuss with my loops too much when they don't close, because I'm planning to open and close it anyway when I do all my connecting. So what we're going to do is finish this component first, and then we'll connect the bracelet. So I wanted to kind of give you an idea where it's going. This is a little cone-shaped bead cap from my stash. I'm just going to pull that off now and show you what's under here. So I used some of the most fabulous soft flex wire. It's called Pro EconoFlex. It is a 49 strand wire, but it is incredibly flexible. I had this gold color. I wanted the most flexible thing that I can find. So all of these little loops are already crimped with a flat crimp bead, and I just did a little bit of a random pattern with an 8/0 gold seed bead, and then all my 11/0 delicas and rocaille beads from Adornable Elements for the past 2 months. I just love having a curated seed bead collection coming to me every month. You don't know how much I love it. I didn't have to go fishing around through a bunch of random seed beads, because I had these collections already curated, and they just look great with the Didi Beads box. So this is kind of what it looks like, and I wanted to just show you, if you're not familiar with this EconoFlex, this is a fairly short piece, but this almost doesn't feel like bead stringing wire. It's so flexible and malleable, and I just love it for making these kind of loops. So all I did, I'll back this down so that I can show you. I did the same on every loop. So I just created a little bead pattern, just dotting it. I started out counting, and then I stopped counting, and I just kind of eyeballed it so that all 4 of my loops are about the same size. The ends of this is going to hide inside the cone, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but I wanted my gold dots to be just at random. So I just threaded on a little pattern like that, and then I threaded on a flat, a crimp bead that I'm going to flat crimp. And I'm just going to pull this. I did do this one a little bit longer, and I didn't even measure, you guys, because really you could make this loop whatever, you know, whatever length you wanted, if you wanted it to be really extreme. But I was trying to be mindful that I need a 7 to a 7¼ inch bracelet, and I want this as an element, but I didn't want it to make my bracelet get too long. So I did probably 8-inch little strands, and on these, I just, after I flat crimped, I just trimmed away a little bit of this and left the longer one. So I'm going to do that on this one right here, just to get a hold of that bead. Now on seed beads, especially delicas, when you're flat crimping close to delica, you do want to be careful that you're not on the seed bead, because you'll crush your last one. So I'm just going to pull it tight, and I'm putting pressure with my plier there, and it is flat crimped. And then I'm just going to trim this a little bit. And then I have some more of those crimp beads, and what I'm going to do, I think that 4 will fit through a tube. I'm going to try to get 4 through one of these. In fact, I have a little bit bigger one. I have a couple sizes in these crimp beads, so I'll try this size. If it doesn't work, I'll go get a larger one. Okay, I'm just going to gather up all my loops, and whoops, just going to gather up all my loops, and I have a little bit larger crimp beads so that I'm not going to struggle getting all 4. all 4 strands in there. I do want it to be pretty random. And before I crimp, I am going to just have a look at how they fit in my cone, and that's perfect. You don't see any of my crimps. That is just perfect. Okay, so let me crimp this, and then I'm going to get rid of all these shorter wires that are here. And I'm going to try to control the chaos a little bit, just hold all those loops before I flatten this crimp bead. Okay, and now I can get rid of all these extra wires. And this is going to be a seed bead loop. So I'm going to put this right in here. Get them all up inside that cone, just like that. And now I'm going to thread on just enough seed beads. Oh, I need another flat crimp bead. You could do like the magical crimping plier here. I think I'm just going to do it. Let me see if it's going to go inside. Nope, it's going to go inside the hole. Really, anything will. I hadn't planned on putting a bead there, but maybe. These little hematite spacer beads are from Didi's Deluxe Bead Box from months back, and I still have so many left over. Plus, I ordered some more because they're just so wonderful. That is exactly what I need to keep my little crimp bead from going down inside that cone. When Stella does her boxes, she is so generous with the lengths of her strands, and she finds the best things. So I did go back on her website and order some more of those. So I'm not even going to count. I just chose my turquoise. I thought it was nice and bright. I'm not even going to count. I just want to get a little bit of a loop, just enough to make a loop here. And it doesn't have to be a big loop. Let's see. That's perfect. That's just what I need. So now I'm going to feed this wire back down through the crimp bead, through that little spacer, and through my cone, and get a hold of it and just pull. And just snuggle everything. Make sure everything is in its place the way that I want it. Okay, and I'm just going to get my plier in there and flat crimp right here. Okay, and now I can trim this, kind of hide it up inside this cone. Get a hold of it. And just make sure that that's all I'm cutting. I don't want to cut any of my other loops. Okay, I think I got it. Okay, now I'm going to put this flower. I'm going to connect this flower to the seed bead loop. From here, this is just really fun connecting. I may have to change the direction of my flower loops when I get everything connected. I'm still playing with my components. For these projects, I used a couple of things that I had from Purity Beads, and in this project, I used their solid brass ball head pins with the anti-tarnish coating, and I'm using these gold-filled diamond cut jump rings. I just love these, and when I really love a piece, I tend to like up my game a little bit with my supplies. I'm just going to gather up all of my loopy situation here. I might have to open this a little bit further so that I don't struggle. Let's see. No, I got it. Okay, and I'm going to feed on that loop. And then I'm going to add another jump ring. It's not really for security, it's really just for the look. I just love the diamond cutting on these. Let me open this one further. I'm going to gather everything up again and just add it right to that loop. And when these jump rings, they're nice and heavy gauge, but when they are closed really well, it looks like a solid ring. So I have this really beautiful little component. And now this is just connecting. So I'm going to be opening every single one of these simple loops on these components and adding them in and closing them really well and work hardening those loops. And let's see, I want to keep my alternation going. These components are, both sides are the same but alternating. So I'm just going to do this all the way up the length of my bracelet. So you can kind of see where it's going. Just open every simple loop, attach it to the previous one, and close it really well. Okay, and now I'm going to add my clasp with another one of those jump rings. This is, I'll show you my assortment of these. I love these. There's 3 sizes, I believe 3 sizes when you get the assortment. They look like this. There's a large, which I think is maybe 10 millimeter. It looks like 6 millimeter, and then I don't know if that's 3 or 4, maybe a 3 millimeter. And so it's really great when you have a project like this where you need to have different sizes. Like I needed a larger one here to come off of this loop component, and I just need little small 3 millimeter ones just to connect to my clasp. So let's see, this is going to go on here, and as I said, I might have to change the direction of this loop. Once I get everything connected, I can easily change the direction of any of my simple loops. But I'm just going to add that, and this is going to come around like that. Let me make sure that I connect it properly. Like I'm just taking 2 pairs of pliers, and I'm going to twist this simple loop here so that one loop is going parallel to my mat and one loop is going perpendicular to my mat, and that's going to make my clasp attach to the other end a little bit better than it does. I want the bracelet to lay really nice on my wrist. So if that ever happens where you need to change the orientation of a loop, I don't know if you can see, this one here is going perpendicular and this one is now going horizontal. And so when my bracelet is on my wrist and I come around and attach it, it's laying nice and flat. Everything is nice and flat. So pretty. Okay, now I get to decide about my dangles that I made. And if I want to make additional ones, I do have one more of these beads. So let's take these guys out and see where we might want to put them. I had originally thought to do 3 on each side of this jump ring that's here, which is why I did a little bit larger one. Do I want to do that? Or do I want to do maybe 3 there and do 3 here? Let me get a couple more, get another jump ring. Let me just play for a second. I'm thinking about adding this in the middle of my 4 I have 4 components on each of the double strand, and I'm just going to try this. I've never attached dangles like this before, but I'm going to give it a try and see how it hangs. Just going to grab, let me open this a little wider. I'm going to grab both components inside this jump ring. So my jump ring is not going through any loop, it's going around the circumference, and I'm going to feed on 3 of my flower charms. It's kind of an unexpected place to have charms and dangles, so I want to try it. If you know me at all, you know that I never pass up an opportunity to try something kind of clever in a design, and I really like that. And so attaching the jump ring, and I can see I need to close it a little bit better. Attaching the jump ring around the circumference of a piece, many of you have seen that's one of my specialties. But when you do it that way, instead of hooking through a loop, your charm moves 360 degrees. So whether you pick up the bracelet this way or this way, it doesn't matter. Your dangles will just move freely in whatever direction you're wearing the bracelet. And then I'm thinking to do 3 of them here, and then maybe add 1 here, 1 green one here by this flower. So let's do that. Let me see if I can find the opening. Yep, right there. And I'm going to open this just a little bit, and I'm going to thread on 3 of these. This is going to be so dimensional, really like a garden of pansies and violets and just spring flowers. Oh, that's so pretty. But you see what I mean when you do have, sometimes it is necessary to attach right onto a loop, but you know, those will always hang on that side of the bracelet instead of around the circumference. So I don't know, I'll try it there. I could also do another jump ring around these 2 loops if I feel like it's not, you know, I like it to be fluid, and I like my work to be extremely wearable. So I'm just going to put a simple loop in this little component that I made, and I think I'm going to attach this one right here. And for this one, I guess I'll use another diamond cut, a little small one. Let's see if I have a small one. Oh, there's one. Okay, so this is going to be, I do have 1 more of these, so if I decide that there's not enough charms and enough busyness, I can always add 1 more. I just was trying to get a little bit of green into my pattern here. So I'm going to do the same thing, is put my, let me open, I never open them wide enough, but I'm going to grab this around the whole circumference of the wire and then add my little drop and then close it. Hard to hold it up to the camera because it's not inside a loop, but I'm going to get it closed really well. And I think this is gorgeous, and I love it with my earrings. And you guys, I have so much left over. Stella's box is so packed. I still have my pendant, the elongated bicones, a couple of flowers, these gorgeous green leaves. I still have all of these antique brass crystals and almost the whole strand of the Heishi beads. And these strands I didn't even cut into. Let me pull them over. I took the chain off my pendant because I do want to use it separately, but I still have a full strand of this jade, a full strand of the periwinkle beads, and a full strand of the tiger's eye. So I think that I'm going to do a really long necklace with what's left over, and then I'll have 2 pairs of earrings, a bracelet, and a necklace with her box. It was so stunning this month and just so packed with deliciousness. I'm going to put this bracelet on right now because I feel like I have to try it on. And as everybody knows, you can never clasp a bracelet when the camera is rolling. You can literally just never get it right. But it's a magnetic clasp. That's either a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know. But I love this little loopy component. I just love how busy this is. Let me get my little dangles. Yeah, I always attach my dangles wherever possible around the circumference because they never get kinked that way. They just move more freely. But I'll play with it a little bit, but I just love all of the colors in this box, and I've got a whole bunch of charms on this little guy. It's so pretty. So I will put some better pictures up at the end. I thank you so much for watching. Check the description box. As always, I put all the links to Didi beads, to her deluxe check, I do her deluxe check bundle too, but this is the Didi beads deluxe bead box. And I'm sorry, you guys, I tell you, I am still like really not with it. I'm trying so hard to get back to normal, but it is not easy with this flu. But I'll put links to everything. I'll put links to my gold-filled diamond cut jump rings if you like those. This is an assortment of cone bead caps, and there are quite a few in there. I ended up settling on that one. And anything else that I've used in the project that I pulled in from my stash, if I know where I got it and I'm able to link it, that will be in the description box. And you know, I always have a list of my favorite tools there. So if you're not familiar with the Didi's Deluxe Bead Box, it is not a subscription box. She does do it monthly in a limited edition, and it's first come, first serve, and they always go for sale on the 12th of every month. She announces it on Facebook, and so you have plenty of time, but you always know it's going to be on the 12th. So if you want to try to get the April edition, you know, I wouldn't wait because they do sell out every month. And so I might even be doing a couple videos with the April edition. I'm not sure yet. I love working with Stella of Didi Beads. But again, I thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao, friends.